Hello and welcome back to another episode of Carlisle Studios. My name is Hal Hunter. I'm a professional tattoo artist and co-owner of Carlisle Tattoo Co and Carlisle Threads. I'm lucky enough to be here today with
Jason Castagna.
That's it. I like how you came in. You came in. So ex-AFL player for Richmond Tigers and now professional tattoo artist.
Yeah.
That's it.
And now member of our guest on the podcast.
Illustrious group. Alumni. I've got to thank the sponsors for this season, which is us. Carlisle Tattoo Co and Carlisle Threads. Nice. If you want a tattoo, we're located at 178 Carlisle Street, or the private shop, CTC Private, is located at 126 Carlisle Street in St Kilda in Melbourne, Australia. And for the apparel, Carlisle Threads, it's carlislethreads.com. So thank you to us for providing those sponsorships for the podcast.
Leveled up.
Yeah.
It's a level up on this podcast.
All right, Jason. So we're here at CTC Private because I forgot my key for 178. I reckon we'll kick it off with your football story from the beginning.
All right, yeah, from the beginning. I guess it kind of started at a young age, probably similar to most. Just started playing when I was, maybe 6, 7, however old, playing junior footy. That kind of went through to school footy, and then the TAC kind of pathway. I think it's called something different now, actually. But,
really?
But then from there, basically. Basically the goal was always to play AFL.
Yep. Where'd you play junior footy?
I played at Warrandyte Footy Club.
Yep.
So I kind of grew up around there, Kangaroo Ground. And then, played junior footy there, and then at Marsland College where I went to school. And then Northern Knights was my TAC club. So the goal was always to get drafted. I got to my 18th year and I was kind of like thereabouts. I missed like the national draft and then got drafted in the rookie draft.
Was that expected or was it a bit of a surprise?
I think I was kind of like maybe half expected. It was kind of like I could either go in the national draft or rookie draft is what I was kind of getting told at the time. Obviously would have rather gone in the national draft at the time, but I guess you kind of end up at the same spot anyway.
Yeah.
The only thing actually which sucked was my mates went to schoolies like the day after the draft.
Yeah.
And I'd originally like paid to go to schoolies and stuff and then or like put a deposit down or whatever. And then as it got closer, I was like, probably shouldn't be going.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get drafted and I was like, I just had to the rookie draft was like a good week after the national draft at that point. So I just was like sitting at home like a sad sack waiting for the rookie draft to come around while my mates were on schoolies. Then eventually got picked up.
Yep.
By Richmond in the rookie draft.
Was there much like indications that Richmond were interested before the rookie draft?
Not really, actually. There was, a little bit. Like I'd spoken with them, but you kind of speak with a few clubs and then like I had a manager at the time, which a lot of people do at that age. And if you kind of, a chance of getting picked up. And they kind of mentioned a few other clubs, but they didn't really, I don't think, said too much about Richmond. So I was pretty surprised. I kind of thought I was, from the interest, I thought I was going maybe to an interstate club. So I was actually stoked when it was Richmond.
Yep.
Then because it was the rookie draft, it was, the boys already started training and stuff. The young guys were already into it. The draftees from the previous week and they were in a camp. So I literally got a call straight away and they're like, all right, we're on camp like in, I think it was Sunshine Coast. It was Townsville. And I just like got on a flight in like 2 hours and then was like up there that night and woke up the next morning and met everyone and got into training.
Yeah, sick. It's pretty much exactly what happened with me as well.
Yeah, really.
Flew to Gold Coast the next day because I got rookie drafted as well. Yeah. And then they were already like in a fucking training camp. And it was like pretty surreal experience.
It's it's kind of like not a bad way to do it, is it?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of just thrown in the deep end. You're like, well, I guess I just am in it, as opposed to there's no waiting around and stuff. Oh, that's nuts. I thought that was a real unique experience, but probably would happen to a fair few people, I guess, if they're, especially at that time when the rookie draft was like a week later.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard there was a rumor, or not a rumor, I don't know. I heard they may be considering not doing the rookie thing and they're just extending the main list to have like the extra 3 people or whatever on it.
Yeah, I have heard that as well.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I don't know.
know.
I take pride in, we're rookie bros, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think my career followed the path of most rookies, I would say. And you're the anomaly. You actually went on to have a fucking career. No. You do hear it though. It was like, was it Luke Power from Brisbane? Won all those flags, and he was like a rookie, and they always, like, it gets mentioned throughout people's careers. You know, it's like, it's a bit of a, I guess, like an additional achievement coming off the rookie list. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, you definitely do. There's definitely one of the things commentators mention and stuff. Yeah. And yeah, I reckon you kind of, I mean, when I got drafted as a rookie, it's like, I guess you maybe have a bit of a chip on your shoulder or something, and you kind of like, oh yeah, this rookie did it, this rookie did that. So you're like, yeah, I guess I can do the same. So yeah.
How did you find the transition going from Northern Knights, like in the TAC Cup, to being at Richmond, sorry, and yeah, I guess like that, your whole, like, from my experience and a lot of other people I've spoken to, it's like you're sort of like a big fish in a small pond in the TAC Cup, or like the top, 20, 30 guys who are all like draft prospects. And then you go into like an AFL club, or even if you were dominating TAC Cup, you're sort of at the bottom of the pecking order in an AFL club. Like, how'd you find that?
Yeah, I think, I actually quite liked it, to be honest, in the sense, I don't think my personality's not like I'm not by any means like an alpha or anything where I'm like in a club like that. And if I was one of the better players, being like, feeling like I'm on top or anything. So it didn't feel like too much of a change in that. Like, it was almost good to know that I'm like, all right, I got like so much work to do. Like, there's so much ways to go up from here. And I don't know, I remember at Northern Nights, like we ran so hard. Like the running and stuff was like fucking full on.
Yeah.
And we got to Richmond. I was like, oh yeah, the running's like pretty tough, but like it's probably, they prepared us pretty well in that sense,
wow.
which was good. It's probably more just like the other, like, I'm really going into the training aspect here, but like the bike riding, swimming, all that other stuff that I was like, oh, this is a step up. I'm battling here. But yeah, in terms of that, I didn't hate it too much. Like, it was almost nice having like no pressure going there. You're like, cool, I'm drafted. I got like a good year now. I'm supposed to be shit essentially because I'm a rookie. And then it's kind of like you can, I guess, over exceed expectations, if anything. Yeah, so that was nice.
And your first season, like, I had a quick read through your stats before, because often coming in like to the, I guess, not necessarily like interviews, but like when I have guests on and stuff, they're mainly tattooers, and I have like a pretty, understanding of like their careers and stuff. And obviously I know about your career, but like I'm not a real stat guy. So I was like, in the car, I was like, fuck, maybe I should like have a look at the stats. And I'll read them out for a few people. I'm not going to go through like game by game.
I don't know if I'm the biggest.
I found the game by game stat list.
Okay.
Yeah. It was pretty easy to find. But there's some pretty crazy. So during that 2017 to 2020, which was it says here on the Richmond website, it's like the most recent era of success. You ranked the highest, averaging 92 of 95 games, which that's a massive achievement.
Yeah, that is one of the achievements I can claim to that for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't really miss much footy. I didn't really get injured often, which was handy.
Do you reckon that's like a lot of that was like the durability of your body and stuff? Like, do you reckon it was like a natural thing? Obviously, there's a little bit of luck involved, but then, or was it you put that down to like the way you went about it and your preparation and stuff?
It's tough. I don't know. I always think about that stuff where you see people getting injured all the time, and you had a shit run with injuries when you were playing. I heard, and I don't know. I don't know if you just like, if you get injured, then it gets easier to get injured, and I just didn't really get injured, and then I just I guess I prepared pretty well and stuff, but I think maybe I was just pretty lucky. Like, I'm pretty flexible, so I didn't really get soft tissue injuries and stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. Honestly, there was definitely like an aspect where I didn't always was like, well, I don't want to give up my spot. And like, if I was, pretty sore or like somewhat injured, then I wouldn't want to miss, because I was like, well, if I give up my spot and someone else takes it.
Yep.
Which actually, I think there was 3 games there. So it was 90, did you say 90?
92 or 95.
92 and 95. Those 3 games that I missed, I actually remember. I did something to my knee. Someone fucking ran into my knee, and like there was like bone bruising or something around there. And the next week I just took a heap of anti-inflams to just play. I knew I was dog shit. Like I shouldn't have played, and I played the next week, and I just made it so much worse. And I probably would have, if I just missed a week, would have just missed 1 week, and then I ended up missing those 3 games. I think it was. So but yeah, I guess a bit of preparation, bit of luck, bit of just scared I was lose my spot.
Yeah. Well, so I guess you've obviously had an amazing career. So 3 premierships, which for anyone not within Australia, the premierships are like a Super Bowl championship for AFL. It says here, which this is really impressive. You and Dustin Martin, who would be, what would you say is maybe one of the best players of the last sort of decade.
Yeah.
Brownlow medalist, etc. You were the only players in those 3 seasons to kick more than 25 goals each in all the years. So,
that's nice.
Yeah, again, impressive. It impressed me when I was reading it before. I was like, fucking hell. I knew you played in the forward line and kicked goals and that, but...
Oh, anytime you're hearing your name with him, that's good. It's probably, that's making me sound real good, but... but, I don't know.
Well, the stats don't lie, you know? Sure. So, what, do you remember, you would remember your first game, and what do you have key sort of memories from your career that you want to talk about, or that stick out in your mind?
I guess, I don't know. I remember my first game. I was emergency, and then I got someone got injured.
Yep.
So another kind of rookie type setup where I didn't get picked, but then someone got injured, so I came in and played. I got called up that day saying, this person's sick or injured or whatever, so I got called up and played. It was actually such a nothing game, to be honest. It was when we were shit. We were playing Port Adelaide at the MCG, so there was no one there. So I got all my mates' tickets easy as. We lost by 20 points. Again, just a pretty insignificant game, but it was the biggest thing ever for me, obviously. But that was a bit of a blur. Then it was probably the next year when I started playing consistent footy. That was real.
So you debuted in your first year?
In my second year.
So I didn't
play in my first year. No.
Yep.
I actually did get injured in my first year again, which is another thing. So I missed maybe half a season in my first year or something, but I also played half a season in the VFL, didn't get picked. But then second year played a handful of games, and then my third year I started playing every game.
Yep. And was that sort of I remember the rough period, but I don't remember the exact years, but when you started playing more consistently, that was when Richmond started to have this.
When I started playing, we started winning. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, correct.
You can take credit for that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Because from memory, you the club was coming off a pretty bad period.
Yeah, we're pretty shit for a good time there. Yeah, I think there was. So my first 2 years at the club, it was we were in the trenches. You know what? Actually, not really. It was kind of we didn't. My first year we made finals and lost. And it was kind of that classic story, Richmond making finals and losing.
Yeah.
And then the next year we didn't make finals. We were pretty poor, and it was looking things are pretty average here. We need to fully change something around. And I think, they were going with a different kind of setup, I guess, and they wanted some smaller forwards that would just tackle and chase.
Yeah.
Which probably worked well for me. Like I'm not super skillful, wasn't a super skillful player. I was just kind of like pretty happy to try and do the team thing and work hard, I guess. And I guess I just fitted into that role. There was Dan Butler as well and Dan Rioli were all kind of like similar kind of roles, I guess, to other players, similar kind of position. And then, I guess just worked out. I think it's one of those classic things where things just started to fall in place. Everyone's feeling good, and then it started just kept on rolling on from there.
Yeah.
So bit of right place, right time, but obviously put in some work. But
yeah, of course.
It was right place, right time.
Yeah, and what do you, I guess, like, from the three flags, what sort of sticks out in your mind as, I guess, like, was it surprising? What was the feeling like? Like I've obviously not experienced it, so I'd love to hear. I guess like the mental side of it, or just
I definitely because again, it was like when I started playing consistent footy, we were winning a lot at that point. Before then, it was like I played 5 games and we were shit.
Yeah, and
then when I was like consistently, so it was almost like playing AFL footy. We just kind of won all the time, almost what I was used to. So then, it was almost like, almost kind of got used to it, but it was still as well at the same time like a whirlwind and just being like, wow, this is sick. But it almost just kind of became like a bit expected that we're going to win a lot of the time. 17, we were kind of, like I said, just riding that like wave and really good. 19, when we won again, we were just like, I guess good as the whole time. 20, it was a weird one. I kind of forgot what the question was at the start. The highlights in that period.
Just more so like, I would say like winning a premiership is like would rank, probably number one on every prospective AFL player's list.
Yeah.
You've won 3.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I just come back to me now. I did have something called, not cool, but something that sticks out to me about winning. What was good about it was like you finished the season and it was just straight up like, well, we've done everything we can do here. Like you're not going into the off season and be like, oh, we got to train harder to come back and win. It was like you have that good, I don't know, whatever 2-3 week period where before you do any training, before you got your footy trips, you got like your celebrations, and it's just like we've literally done everything. Like I guess you feel kind of on top of the world there.
Yep.
No coaches are like, oh, we got to get better. You just feel like you've kind of clocked it.
Yep.
So that was always the best. I remember thinking that was the best thing after it, just like celebrating and all that stuff. Was cool for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I can understand that, how it's almost like, and that's like, we'll get onto the tattooing thing, but I often, I don't even know who asks, but I sometimes find myself mentioning that it's like the hard thing almost about tattooing, if you compare it to footy, is there's no like end. There's no end of the season, and so it's very hard, I think, to get to a point in your career where you can sit back and go, cool, like that's the end of the year. Let's review it. Let's see how we've done. What do we want to do better? Did we win the premiership, like, so to speak, or did we come dead last, and like all those sort of things. So, I guess like if you're winning grannies, the end of the season's awesome.
Yeah,
like if you're coming last, it's probably like pretty shit, because you're already thinking so far ahead for the next season.
Yeah, for sure.
But so when obviously you won the 3 flags, like super impressive, and I don't know if you take this the right way, but it's like when you meet you and stuff, it's like I feel like that's not like a huge part of your like identity and personality, which is a good thing. Not that I had really any preconceived expectations of what you were going to be like, but yeah, I think like, and everyone has said like you're just like, a genuine normal guy, but you've had this like crazy experience before all of us have met you. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Thanks. It's nice to hear.
Your tattooing journey. So when did you first like get interested in getting tattooed, or like doing tattoos, or when did that sort of start?
So yeah, probably like a bit weird, but then there's probably also a few people that are the same after like the situation of COVID. I essentially in COVID just was locked away for however long, in homes.
Were you still playing footy at the time?
I was, yeah. But, I mean, I was playing footy. So, 2020. But we had it was like a little hiatus of the season. They took, I can't remember, it was like a good 2 months off or something where we just didn't play footy. It was when COVID was everyone was super scared, I guess, and we didn't do anything.
Was that before you went to the hub?
Yeah, that was before the hub. Yeah, it was round 1 started, I think, and then they just cut the season for maybe 2 months or something like that. And then, after we resumed, we went into these hubs in Queensland and stuff. But in that period, I just... essentially just bought one of those shit kits and just with my housemates and myself just started messing around with it, trying it out. And that was probably I had a couple tattoos prior to that, just real shitty small ones, one for losing a bet and one for for winning a premiership actually. But then that kind of just sparked my interest a bit. I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. I'd already kind of liked drawing and stuff. And then it was kind of a slow burn from there though, just messing around, tattooing myself and then some friends and stuff wanting to get tats and built from there. Yeah.
Because I can't remember what year it was, but I remember it was might have even been Bobby sent me a photo of you playing footy and you'd had no tats and then suddenly you had fucking 50 tattoos on your leg. That were pretty clearly done by yourself.
Yeah. Pretty clearly, pretty shit.
And I remember people used to mention it in the shop and stuff because, within it's more popular now, AFL players being tattooed and stuff. But I always think it often falls into realism. Most AFL players get realism, and what you were getting, which was how would you describe it? Outline, more sketch sort of stuff.
Yeah, just lines.
Was pretty much no one had that. And I remember people mentioning it to me going is he obviously is he tatting, and so you started in lockdown just tatting yourself, tatting a few people, and I guess what was the progression of, because from the outside it sort of seemed like you were as sort of, I guess maybe you got to the end of your footy journey, the tattooing was going the opposite way. You're progressing the tattooing, and it's sort of it seemed honestly like a pretty clean transition from when you finished footy to when you started tattooing professionally. How'd that go?
Yeah, I guess looking back now, it did all just fall into place pretty well. It was weird. I certainly wasn't good when I started, obviously.
Well, no one is, but
but I think it was, I was just mucking around for a while. Like I said, tattooing myself, tattooing friends, not really with any desire of getting better or anything, just literally kind of doing it for fun. And then it wasn't until there was definitely my partner, Haley, even my my mum and dad were kind of you should look into doing tattooing. And I was always nah, I don't, I'm not good enough. I didn't really give it a chance because I just didn't really think I'd be able to do it. And then we had a mutual friend actually Tommy Sheridan, who we're having a few drinks one night and he dropped your name, said that he knew you and you had a shop and said, oh, would you want to catch up with him? And I was like, oh yeah, may as well catch up with him. And we caught up and it was kind of just oh yeah, we'll just, I guess, suss it out. It'd be good to know. I didn't really think much would come from it. And then pretty much, when we caught up and you were basically yeah, you can do it. There was a lot of confidence that you put in me that I could do it just by saying yeah, if you want to do it, if you're keen, you don't have to be good at drawing. I think the main thing was you saying, if you want to do it, you can learn to do it very easily. Yeah. Not easily, you have to put in the work obviously, but if you want to do it, you can do it. And I was oh, sick. I definitely have shown myself before that if I want to do something and I put in effort that I can work hard and get there. So that I think that was a turning point for me where I was okay, cool. I actually want to try and do this properly now. I want to try and get better at it. And then I started drawing with, I asked you a fair few times, what could I do? What will help? And that really guided me. And then, from there, I think it kind of just really took over my mind of like what I wanted to do. Like I was already kind of getting a bit off footy. Yeah. And then this had come into my mind, and that was like consuming all my time away from footy, like before work in the mornings and then after. And then I kind of just remember getting to a point being like, fuck, I would have, because I'd be getting up like early in the morning to draw and stuff. And then I'd have to go to training, and I was like, fuck, it would be so good if I just didn't have to go to training and I could just do this all day. And then, like that was probably kind of the start of when I was like, started to really think, all right, I'm going to get out of footy. Yep. And then, I guess I did. I made the call eventually, and I didn't really have anywhere to work or anything. Obviously, I was still working full time playing footy then, but I was pretty confident that it would just be able to fall into place if I worked hard and, kept at it, and it luckily did.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like, I would say like 50% of the questions we get asked in relation to the podcast are about like learning to paint or learning to tattoo or best ways to go about it and stuff. And we do talk about it regularly, but I sort of think, like there'll be a group of people who think it should be done a certain way, a group of people who think it should be done a different way. I always think like both of those groups have merit, whether you do like an official apprenticeship, like a traditional apprenticeship, or you sort of, I guess, like pave your own way. They've both got pros and cons, but ultimately I always say to people, it's like you just take whatever opportunity you can, whether that's, like you can't get an opportunity in a shop or whatever your life circumstances don't allow that to be possible. Or, like you do spend a lot of time in a shop and you have like a mentor and stuff like that. But I think these days, like there's so many, I mean, ultimately like the quality of the work just speaks for itself, like if you can tattoo and you're doing good quality tattoos, which obviously you do, then it doesn't matter like how you learn, like it's the same. I sort of view it the same as, and I have this discussion or argument, depending how people perceive it, with like a few of the other guys in the shop. It's like, tattooing like partly in my mind is like a bit of a trade, like there's a technical element to it that most people can learn. But then there's obviously like the artistic side, which probably like relates more to painting or fucking music or whatever. And like at the end of the day, it's like if you're doing good quality work that people like, then it's like, doesn't really matter how you learnt to do it, So I sort of think like, Rudy, for example, he just walked into the shop here, like he didn't do an apprenticeship, and he's been tattooing for 12 years, 13 years or something,
Yeah.
And, like very well versed in several different styles, So, I know you mentioned it to me before we started recording about like how you started tatting at home, but it's like everyone did, like I started tattooing at home. Bobby got me machines and said like, just tat people at home, So I actually tattooed a bunch of Bobby's customers at their houses and shit.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to tattoo. I didn't know how to set anything up. I used to send Bobby photos of them afterwards. Like so embarrassing now, like.
Yeah.
Even like Charles, I remember, I think I mentioned this before, Charles, who works down at the shop I'm at, he used to get tattooed by Bobby flat out. And he used to text Bobby photos, and he sent him this one photo of him, Charles, doing a chest tat on a bloke who's lying on a kitchen table. They're both smoking cigarettes. The dude getting tattooed, he's got a glass of wine. Charles has like no gloves on, nothing. Oh my God. And he sent that to Bobby thinking like Bobby's going to think this is awesome. Like, and offer me a job after this. And it's like, you look like a fucking crackhead doing a tat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But,
that's so funny.
Yeah. So you pulled the pin on footy.
Yep.
And the goal was to like tattoo professionally, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And then you went in, were you guesting or you say full-time working at that other shop? What was it called?
Heartstrings.
Yeah, that's it. I was going to say Heartbreaker, but.
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
So I was kind of, tattooing from home, tattooing from like a private space before that while I was playing footy, just kind of like after training and stuff or like on weekends or whatever. I was already kind of doing that a bit. And then And then once I quit footy, I was just kept on doing that for a bit longer, and then the Heartstring studio opened up. They were in Fitzroy North Fitzroy, Brunswick East, around there, that area.
Yep.
Kind of like
Inner
close
north.
to where I'm. Yeah, inner north.
Yep.
And they were looking for artists, I guess. And I was like, oh, I'll try my luck. I'll hit them up and see if I can guest there for a bit. And then they were happy to have me on. So very grateful for them for letting me start my kind of professional journey there, I guess. And I started kind of like doing a couple days a week there, then started doing a few more. And that was kind of my way in, I guess. And I was there for a good, I'm not too sure actually, maybe it was like 6 months or something, maybe even a bit less, until we came here.
Yeah, from memory, I think we had a spot open up. I think one of the guys moved interstate. We had a spot open up, and we'd obviously had that sort of discussion. It would have been like a year before that, maybe even more.
Yeah,
about like you just getting interested in tattooing and all of that, and then we sort of, I guess mainly because of like the footy background, there was like, I would say like a lot of external eyes on what you're doing. It was just something like abnormal. There's not many. From my understanding, I'm the only other person to be like close to AFL that's like involved in tattooing now. So I guess that connection, Bobby he's really into footy and stuff. So there was like, a bit of like interest or just, following sort of what you were doing. And all the other guys as well were sort of like quite interested in it. And then, we had the spot open up, and I remember I said to Bobby, I was like, would we be interested in messaging you and just saying, rather than putting it out there and just seeing who messages and just saying, hey, we've had this spot, like if you're interested. And he was all about it. Bella was really into it, and we sent the message, and from memory I think you said like you were going away for a bit, but when you got back, like you'd be keen. And then how long you been here now?
I reckon it's been like a good not 6 months or something. Feels like longer in a good way.
It does. It really does. And I think also because I don't see you guys that often.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see you every day, but we just don't come up. That like, it feels like you've been here for 6 months. Feels like you've been here for 5 years, like.
Yeah.
So that's how, for everyone, that's how Jason got here. And I think also like, I feel like I'm just like I'm hyping you up, this whole thing. But
I'm here for it.
I think like I think there is a place for like, like how long people have tattooed, like that shows like one, like a level of like commitment or like involvement. Like you really do love it as a job, or you want to. And then I guess it like infers like experience and stuff. Obviously, if you've tattooed for 10 years, you will have experienced a lot more stuff than someone who's tattooed for 1 year. But from our perspective, we've always sort of thought like the work is like the main thing. Like if you're doing good quality tattoos, then it doesn't matter whether you've tattooed for 6 months or 10 years, like you're doing good quality tattoos. So from our perspective, that was like a big, it was like the main positive about you. Was that your tattoos, like you didn't look like you'd only tattooed for 6 months or 12 months or whatever it was. So from our perspective, the transition for you coming here, you're full time, like from everything I've heard from Bobby and stuff, like super self-sufficient, very professional, like motivated to work, all those sort of things. So not that you need my fucking gratification, but it has been very it's been very impressive,
Thanks, mate. No, it's good.
Yeah. And I sometimes think like I've been around tattooing for a little while, that sometimes people who have come into tattooing, I guess like, I wouldn't say like quickly, but like, like you weren't hanging around tattoo shops for like years and years before you started tattooing. And I sometimes think it's like that actually allows you to progress quicker because you don't have these like preconceived like notions of how things are or how they should be or what other people are going to think, I sort of think like I probably fell into that category a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you've come from, you know, I guess you get drafted when you're 18, you go into like a highly professional, you know, mature job environment, and then you learn it matures you very quickly, I believe.
For sure.
Yeah. Whereas like, so what are you, 25, 26 now?
26, yeah.
Yeah.
26, fuck, I'm 27 actually. 27.
27. Goes quick. But, you know, there's other guys, and I guess everyone just has their own life and experiences, so you can't really change that. But there's other people, you know, who come into tattooing who are, you know, that same age, but they've never had, you know, they haven't had the life experiences you've had and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that's been quite evident in the progression of your tattoo career.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely something. There's definitely, I remember you were already, when we first started speaking as well, you drew a lot of similarities between footy and tattooing, which I don't know, seems a bit far-fetched when you just say it like that, but there definitely is, I think, or you can definitely relate it. And just when you kind of put it as simply as like, you know, if you want to work hard, if you want to do it, it can be done. And I was like, sick. That's like, so I think, just being able to go out and try and have a crack at things and do it has given me the confidence to just do it, I guess. And and being in a good environment, obviously, around people that are, you know, want to see you do well and are doing similar things definitely helps progression, I feel. So I still feel like I've got a heap of stuff that I can learn from everyone here, which I'm like pumped about. Yeah.
No, that's good. Because I think even like everyone who comes here, and because I guess it's like, you know, tattooing sometimes be viewed as this like unachievable thing from a lot of people. And it's like, it is difficult, obviously. And there's a lot at stake, you know, like you're doing stuff to people's bodies that they have forever. But I think, the right mindset, attitude, motivation, all that sort of shit, like pretty much anyone can, you know, it might take a long time, but can get to further than they would think, you know what I mean? And I guess like that leads me to like my next question, which is, you know, like you were getting tattooed, you started paying attention to tattooing as an industry or potentially a job and stuff. How's it sort of, like your expectations and stuff? Is it what you thought it would be, tattooing full time, or is it different?
It's probably, I don't know actually, because like you said, like I didn't have a heap of exposure. Like I started kind of showing a real interest in tattooing in 2020 when COVID was, real prevalent, and so I didn't really go into tattoo shops until after that, and then not long after that, I was, you know, really getting into tattooing myself. So I guess I didn't really have many kind of preconceived ideas at all, but maybe other than the fact that tattooers are like scary and like it's a, you know, like that kind of thing a bit. But then I guess getting here was, everyone's that I've been involved with has been really supportive and really nice and easy to kind of work with, get tattooed by, all that. So, and I think that's what I've taken out of it as well, man. Like people want to get tattooed by someone that they can talk to easy and get along with, and I was like, that's a massive part to it. I don't know actually. Probably, I can't say if it lived up to like what I thought or if it was different.
Well, that's great because it's like it seems like you're doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I see you like, you know, every week or whatever, but we don't really. I mean, never do I sit down with anyone and have conversations like this. You know, like, but I think I actually think it's like that. Everything you've said, like I agree with. You know, like I've learned over my time tattooing that it's like, if you look at the people who have like the careers that ultimately I want to emulate, you know, Bobby, the customer bases, Scott, Rudy, you know, the dudes who have been around it longer, it's like the one consistent thing between their careers is like the way they interact with clients, you know, and they all do different styles and whatever, but it's like, and that was the thing I struggled with the most at the start because I was like very just quiet and a bit self-conscious and all that sort of shit. But yeah, definitely like, yeah, like the people want like a connection, you know, like they want to feel like they know you or be able to be friends with you and stuff. And ultimately, like you probably will become friends with a lot of your customers, you know, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you spend a lot of time with them and
100%. And like you said, how often do you just sit there and talk to someone, like just one-on-one, just sitting there talking for ages about whatever? Like you do really connect with your customers. That actually is definitely something that, like when I break it down, I mean, I was pretty scared to get my first tattoo going into a studio, and then you sit down with someone and you have a chat with them and you're like, oh, this is so easy and nice. And I think a lot of people are kind of like that as well. So that actually was probably definitely a reality versus perception thing that I was like, oh, no, this is actually easy as and really pleasant.
Yeah, sick. And I got to ask, I should have mentioned it at the start, but your Instagram handle, Fat Doodles with a PH.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Because I've got to say, it's weird, like, because a lot of customers come down to the 178 shop and then we tell them, oh, like Jason's up at private shop. They walk up the road. And heaps of people come in and say like, I've got an appointment with Fat. And everyone's like, who the fuck, like what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty rare, I guess, isn't it? I don't know. I think, originally when I started, it was kind of like I started an Instagram profile. This is when I was still playing footy as well. And I was like, I was just doing drawings and I wasn't super proud of, or like maybe I was, but they were shit. So, and I was doing shit tats and I was like, I'll just start posting my stuff on here, but kind of hide behind this funny name, I guess. I'm not putting my name to it necessarily. I didn't put any pictures up of my face. And Fat Doodles kind of came to mind as it's just, I guess a silly, dumb name. And then I've just stuck with it, I guess. Yeah. Kind of feel weird changing it now. So Fat Doodles, it is. That's the origins of it.
Yeah. No, I was always interested. Like it is, I think like, when you do start definitely like putting your name to something, it's like, there's lots of tattooers with like alias names or like stuff that's obviously not their name, you know?
Yeah.
No, I was always just interested, but
I think of my name's Fat and my last name's Doodles.
So I guess then leading on to that was, I would describe like the fundamentals of your style falls into traditional, like the bold outlines, black shading, whip shading, stuff like that. But you do like, compared to a lot of us, like you do, I guess like a different like subject matter of the designs. Is that just like a thing you think is like you get requested different stuff, or it's something you're trying to push, or like what? It's always hard to explain your own style and stuff, but like where's your head at with like, I guess like the style that you tattoo?
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely one of those ones that probably just have organically kind of grown. And I still, I don't know, still don't fully know, where my style is, where it's going kind of thing. But I think, I just kind of started off drawing things that I just kind of thought were a bit kooky and funny and stuff. And probably like I like the look of like traditional tattoos and stuff. That's probably where I kind of like, bold lines and stuff like that. But I also didn't really know much about it. So I was it wasn't like I was looking up heaps of, traditional reference. It was more just stuff that I was seeing and then kind of, I guess, drawing it the way that I thought looked cool. So, and then maybe from that, I think people saw me doing this kind of different, I guess a different kind of take on some traditional stuff, and then asking me to do some funny, silly kind of tats, which then I'd draw that up and then post that and then get more requests. And so, I guess it's probably just kind of going that way. But I don't know. I think early on I was like a bit in my head about like, this is my style. This is kind of what I need to keep pushing and stuff. But then it was like, it's more so now I'm like, well, if someone wants this, then I'll do that. And then I'm just kind of happy to do whatever anyone wants and wherever it leads me. And, it will, I guess. Yeah,
sick. I think that's definitely one of the things a lot of people learn when they come into tattooing is that there's this perception from externally that every tattoo everyone does is like from their own choosing, the style wise. But I actually think it's like, yeah, as you said, you know, like your style almost gets dictated over time by what people ask you for. And then eventually gets to the point where the majority of people ask you for like just the same style thing. And then that becomes like, I guess, your style, you know, the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would say it's like, even last night you put up those two like dolls.
Yeah,
what
like
were they?
Marching.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like clean, like so clean. Which is funny because I remember we had that when we had that coffee initially. You said you were interested in like ignorant style tattooing. I don't know if you remember that. Which is like you do have a lot of style tattoos on yourself that would fall into that category. But in my mind, I always viewed ignorant style as like real loose, as in like, sorry for anyone understanding, it's getting a bit technical, but like ignorance, like, yeah, the lines aren't perfect, all that sort of shit. Whereas like I would say your tattooing is like the complete opposite. Like outlines super clean, you know what I mean? Like, which is a good thing. I prefer that as a style.
Same.
So yeah, I was just always interested whether you thought that was like still where your head was at, or
I don't know. It's funny because like I guess maybe I didn't fully know what this ignorant style was even maybe, but I kind of like I definitely I think of that. I like sometimes just like simple just line work and just like black fill. And like a lot of time when I do draw up flash even, I just kind of do that sometimes. But then a lot of people wanting to get tattooed more want like, I guess probably that more traditional shading and stuff. Yeah. So I don't know where my stuff really falls into it, what I'd kind of call it. Probably maybe is more just closer to traditional, and I don't know what's what.
You're just saying stuff.
Yeah, I'm just saying shit. But yeah, I definitely think there's just a lot of like, maybe, the fact that I don't know, like I of course have learnt more about traditional, history of tradition. I've looked into like a lot more of that since I've started tattooing more, but maybe just starting from a place where I didn't really know much and just drawing what I think looks cool and stuff and using reference that's a bit different. Kind of, got me to what I'm doing now, I guess.
Yeah, sweet. And with, I guess like you don't have to have an answer to this, but like with your tattoo career, do you have like is there sort of things you want to achieve, like whether it's, you know, like traveling and working, or ultimately like having your own shop, or I don't know, like do you have any I guess like goals within the whole career aspect?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny actually because they've definitely changed. I've never been a massive traveler, but now I do like the idea of traveling now and being able to say, I tattooed here and stuff, or just being able to go on a holiday, being like, oh, maybe I can work there at the same time. That actually does appeal to me a bit now for sure. But I also I remember kind of when I was first getting into tattooing, being like, oh yeah, the goal's like to own a shop. Like I want to do that, have my own space and do that. But since I've kind of gotten into it more and that, and especially, you know, working full time here, I'm like, I really enjoy just kind of like rolling into work, working with people that I like working with, and I don't really have to worry about much else. And I'm pretty content doing that. So I don't know. Maybe again it will change, but I mean it's changed already. From when I first started, whatever that was, maybe a year ago. But at the moment, I'm pretty content. Just like, you know, I love working here. I love the crew here. And
these are all the things I paid you to say all these things.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then I don't know. So I guess I'll say, I feel like there's just so much, like I've got so much to learn still. And I'm like, there's no way I could even think about doing too much else other than just tattooing at the moment. So like that's taken up all my time as is. So I'm nothing trying to think, nothing too much else.
Yeah, not that you have to, you know. I think like I definitely think that's the case with a lot of people. You know, a lot of young tattooers is in like within their career or come into it and go, oh, I'd love to have a shop, I'd love to do all this stuff. But I think like having done a lot of those things, I definitely think like it's more about like right time, right place. Like if you come into tattooing and your goal's to like have a shop or whatever, I sometimes think that maybe your mind's not like on the main thing, because ultimately having a shop and stuff, it's cool, whatever. But if your work's not there and you don't have the ability to get customers and all that sort of shit, then it's like doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like it's probably going to be fucking worse for you than just working in someone else's shop.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah, interesting. Because I was the same. I didn't have any desire to like. I just wanted to tat. I just wanted to learn how to tat, and I wasn't like, I want to go overseas. I want to have a shop, whatever. And I guess like whatever happens. Like you get opportunities, or you, like I was lucky enough. Like someone like Bobby, he was going overseas a lot, and I sort of tagged along to those things.
Has yours changed a fair bit as well recently? Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Or do they keep changing?
I don't know. It's a hard one. I think within tattooing, like the goals within tattooing are always the same. It's like if I think about just doing the tattoos, it's like the ultimate goal is to just be consistently busy, not have to worry about bookings and stuff, which that was always the goal, like to come in, regardless of whether you get to tat like ideal tattoo every day or whatever, it doesn't matter. It was more so like, I love that it falls more into like a structured routine now than when I was starting out, where it was like I'd go to work every day, but do you tat like every day? Like you never know. So yeah, within tattooing, and then like from a technical aspect, like I'd love to, keep improving on certain things, like get different influences, all that. From like, I guess the more business side or lifestyle side, it's like, yeah, definitely. We obviously had a kid recently. Changes the perspective on like what's important and stuff. And I've mentioned this on the podcast I actually did last night with Bella. It's like, tattooing for me was always like a passion, and it became like a job, but the passion was always the main thing. And it still is like a huge passion of mine, but I think like the main priority in my life is like Lenny and family and stuff. So then it becomes more like, well, this is my job. And I remember when Bobby had his first kid a year ago, he said the same thing. He's like, like tattooing used to dictate his life, and now it's almost like it's like a means to an end in a way. Which I think is like, it's a little bit sad, because in the way that it's like you'll never get that back, where it's like, one sort of passion can drive your whole life and take you, and you can do whatever you want. But I wouldn't change it for the world. You know what I mean? It's like,
of course, yeah.
And yeah, so for coming back to work after we had Lenny, I was talking with Bella about this last night. I was like, it was a bit weird for me, It was like, because I love tattooing and I love doing the things, but I actually wanted to be at home.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that before,
And that was a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can imagine it would be the same as like blokes who play AFL and then they have kids, and it goes from like it's their passion or like their life's dream to play footy, and then suddenly it becomes more like a job. You know what I mean? But I guess it would happen for anyone, whatever your job is,
Yeah.
We're just lucky that the jobs we've had have been like passions, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. There was a period where it was like the industry was busier than it's ever been, and there was always like a thought like, do you just keep expanding, more shops, whatever? But it got to the point where it was like all we actually wanted to do was tattoo, and to do anything more than what we've got now or what we're doing now you'd have to pull back from the tattooing, and it's like we don't want to do that, so
yeah.
No, I don't know, man. I'm trying not to think too far ahead for a lot of things.
TV show.
No. Well, it's actually
Carla.
funny. We recorded a pilot once.
What?
Yeah, with Channel 7.
Oh, what?
Yeah, anyway, it was at Carlton. It was just me, Bella and Bobby. And through like a friend, it was just whatever. People had mentioned it a lot, it was like, and it wasn't even like a pilot. It was more like they came and recorded some interviews with us and stuff, whatever. And I guess like maybe it was like, yeah, like an option, but the reality was that it's like that shit is not like it's all scripted stuff, you know what I mean? Like And what like is that? I couldn't think of anything worse than doing like than being like. Yeah, and it came down to ultimately it was like you just wouldn't be able to tat. Like I was at the time, we were all me, Bobby, and Bell were tattooing 7 days a week, and like 9 until sort of like maybe 9 or 10 at night, and it was like it was just like the reward, I guess like ultimately the financial payback you would get from doing a TV show would be so inconsequential compared to like just keep doing exactly what we're doing.
Yeah,
and then there's all the other aspects of like. How is it going to impact on like the perception of you and your standing within the industry and whatever. Ultimately shit that doesn't really matter, but it was just like
when you compare it to just being able to come in and tattoo.
Exactly.
It's I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I think with the like because every tattooer uses social media and it can be hugely impactful on your career in a good way. There's a perception that it's like tattooers are influencers or want to be influencers. And there is a portion who do, but I think the majority actually would love to not have to use social media, like, and just come and do the tattoos and do the art and be around the shops and stuff. So for me and Bella and Bobby, it was like, I don't know, I don't want to be famous, you know what I mean? Like,
that's fine.
It's not going to happen. It won't happen.
I'd love to see it, but not be a part of it.
I think that's what everyone would be like. Everyone in the shop would be like, "Oh, this would be funny as fuck to watch" or whatever. But no one would want to be in it.
Work the shops to get off each other, like private hates.
And I think that's like the original tattoo shows, Miami Ink, LA Ink. I do think like, obviously they were dramatized, but. Back then, it was like there was such little exposure to tattooing in the mainstream. So I think they could rely a lot on just like actual tattoo-related stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, even if you see, like I don't watch reality TV, but you see like snippets of all those real estate shows and stuff. And it's like, they're not even about like houses or whatever. It's about like the characters and the dramas and all. It's like just reality scripted TV shows, So I don't know. Maybe you could do it. Oh. That would be huge. Remember when were you around playing footy when they did that Wives of Footballers TV show?
Oh no,
I think it was called Wags.
Yeah. No, I don't reckon. I don't think I was playing at that time, but I remember. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it was like rugby as well. I reckon there was a few different codes. Yeah, and
I could see you doing that.
Yeah,
it's like ex-AFL player, fucking tattooer.
Jeez, that's a bit of a whack, I reckon.
No, you personality-wise, you wouldn't do it. You definitely couldn't. But we're coming up on the hour. Henry's waiting out the front. Rudy probably felt like he couldn't come in. But so we'll wrap it up. So is there anything you want to say to the millions of people who listen?
No, come get tatted. Come get tatted by Mr. Fat Doodles.
Mr. Fat Doodles.
And come up to 126.
Yep.
It's save the boys. Send in.
So on the same street, we've got 178 Carlisle, which when you look on all the socials or the website or whatever, it says that. Mm-hmm. But we do have the private shop. It's called CTC Private. I actually think it's a better looking building. It's a nice exposed brick wall.
Yeah. Nice arched kind of entrance to this.
Used to be a petrol station.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. So I think
I can see that.
I think these archway windows went to the ground.
Yeah.
And you could drive in.
Jeez, small.
From memory. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about stuff that they can't actually see.
History of
So thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. It was good to get to do our chat. Mm-hmm. And anyone listening, if you want to follow Jason on socials, is it fat_doodles?
PH fat_doodles.
Yep. Or the shop, Carlisle Tattoo Co. My name's Hal Hunter. This is Carlisle Studios. Thank you to Carlisle Threads for sponsoring the show, and also Carlisle Tattoo Co. And come into the shop anytime. Send us a message, me or Jason or Bella, if you've got questions or anything really. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you.
Thank you.